Washington.
And we're joined now by Dr. Maurice Shepard from Madison College. Dr. Shepard, let's get right to it. Why Milwaukee? Do you think this was a strategic move by GOP leaders?
Yes, I think that for the RNC, they've used this playbook before. If you go back to 2016, they selected Cleveland, Ohio. At that time, Ohio was seen as a battleground state, just like Wisconsin is now a battleground state. And they scheduled the first presidential primary debate and their national convention in Ohio and Cleveland. They're using the same playbook here in terms of, again, Wisconsin having, once again, the first debate and the national convention in Milwaukee. The other part of this also is that Wisconsin has, once again, we've got a U.S. Senate seat up for grabs in 2024. Incumbent Tammy Baldwin is running for re-election, and I'm sure that the Republicans would love to take that seat and win control of the U.S. Senate.
And Dr. Shepard, obviously, former President Donald Trump, big talking point right now. What are people saying about him obviously not being there?
For some conservatives, they understand why he's not there, that he's leading, quote unquote, in the polls. But for other conservative voters, they really want him to be there. A key point to understand, though, is, again, this idea that, oh, Trump is leading in the polls and therefore he doesn't need to show up at debates. Trump leads in national polls, Trump leads the field. But once you get to the individual states, it can be a different story, particularly when you look at one-on-one contests. So, for example, here in Wisconsin, while Trump leads, quote unquote, the field, he is actually in a one-on-one sort of contest between Trump and DeSantis. DeSantis is actually fairly close. So, again, there are mixed feelings in terms of why, once again, former President Trump should or should not show up. But I think it's always important to keep in mind that the data, the polling that we hear, that it's always important to take a much closer look at it.
And really quick, what are some things that voters care about this time around in this election?
For this election, particularly as it relates to the debate tonight, they want to see, again, sort of the debaters, the presenters to switch their campaign styles, focus more on a national lens rather than the retail sort of lens focusing on individuals. They want to hear public policy positions on domestic policy, such as reproduction and also foreign policy as it relates to China. They also want to see that the candidates have a presidential character, that they have leadership traits that project well in terms of maybe becoming the next president of the United States.
Dr. Shepard, of course, we always appreciate your insight, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow morning to break down what was said on that debate stage.
Thank you.
And of course, we'll have you covered all day long on the primary debate. We just had the coverage at 6:30 this morning talking with Dr. Shepard, and we'll continue in all of our shows. We have live team coverage from Milwaukee and then here in the capital city as well. Keep it here on WKOW.
Also today, the Senate Committee on Universities and Revenue has